Hey, good morning, Kavra. Today is the 16th day of the month of Adar. Beautiful Thursday morning where we have much blessing falling from the sky. So Baal Shem Tov said that water is a sign of blessing. Today we begin a new chapter in Tanya, Perek Lamed Hey, chapter 35. And early on in the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe describes what a Beinoni is. A Beinoni, and actually this whole book is called the Sefer Shel Beinonim. It's really the intermediate guy, the person who is not extremely to the right as far as Yiddishkeit is concerned. Like, he does the best he can. Not really, I'm just paraphrasing here. And he's not to the left where he's constantly sinning. The truth is that a Beinoni is one step away from perfect. The only imperfection is that he constantly struggles with his evil impulse, but he never acts on them. But for our purposes today, we're going to say that the Beinoni is the average guy. Okay? Just like you and me, right? We try to do the right thing, and sometimes we fail. But that's not really definition, but let's run with that for today. In today's lesson, what is the purpose of the endless struggle of the Beinoni? Why can't he reach a point where the evil will leave him alone? Stop attacking. Let me be. What's the purpose? So before we begin this chapter, let's think about the pasuk that we had in the opening, even before we began chapter 1 of the Tanya. We said that this thing, what is this thing? To observe Torah and mitzvahs is very near to you. It's in your mouth, it's in your heart that you may do it. It seems easy, right? No big deal. And how come there's so many times where you just struggle to perform, to accomplish one mitzvah, to sit and learn Torah when you're supposed to, instead of, taking out your phone or doing something else that you want to do? Why is it become so difficult? So the pasuk asserts that the Torah is easily fulfilled through all of man's three forms of expression, which are called the garments of the soul, in thought, in your heart, in speech, in your mouth, and in action, that you may do it. And in a deeper sense, the phrase in your heart refers also to the emotions of Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem, love and fear. They too are easily attainable. But how? So let's go into this part of the pasuk that says La that you may do it. Simple, just do it. You know the phrase, right? The Nike commercial, the Nike ad. Just do it. So first we have to understand, at least on a basic level, what's the purpose of creating a Beinoni? If you have evil people, great. And then you have on the opposite, holy people. Why do you have people that are good people, but are always struggling? Why can't God make it a little bit easier for us? Right? What's the purpose of their soul coming down into this earth? Is to be enclosed and to sort of live in an animalistic body that wants to just take care of itself, selfish, eat and drink and enjoy the pleasures of the world. That comes from the other side. We're never going to be able to banish the animal soul because we're a part. The animal soul is very much a part of us. How could we rid the selfish desires, the anger, the grubba tendencies? How do we translate grub? The selfishness from the left side of our heart. So no evil imaging and imaginings rise from it into the brain. Sometimes we get things that run through our brain which are despicable. We wouldn't even want to share that with anybody else, what we're thinking. Think about it. When the Beinoni is born, from the time he's born, he's always going to have these struggles. Thoughts that go through his mind, words that he shouldn't have said, or at least that come to mind that he didn't say, but he wanted to say, actions that he has to hold himself back from. Why the constant struggle? Except the garments, the garments. Obviously, he doesn't act on them. A good person is able to constantly push aside his evil impulses. But it's a daily, minute by minute struggle. Liga lorik chas v'shalim leilachem kol yimeim im hayetzer v'layachlu loy. He's always going to be fighting this battle every single day, and he's never going to win. So Tanya explains. So what's the point? Isn't it a little unfair, Lara? It seems a little unfair, right? So he's Zois, Nachmasam, the Nachman, Bechiflayim Sashia, Ismayach Lima Ba'Hashem, Hashechin Itam, the Soich Teirasam Avadasam. Okay, so let this explanation be a comfort to you. For all those that struggle every day with this, thinking there's no end in sight. And a double measure of help and aid, and it should gladden your heart to those that put in their effort and learn Torah and daven and do the best they can. What is this advice? First, we're going to mention the pasuk that's a comment of the Yanuka quoted in the Zohar, Parshas Balak. On the pasuk is that a wise man's eyes are in his head. What is that supposed to mean? Where else would your eyes be? Of course they're in your head. So surely then there's a deeper meaning to the pasuk. Sanan, lo yehach barnash begiluya dereisha arba amos. We've learned that a man must not go 4 cubits bareheaded to wear yarmulke. Why? My taima, the shchinta shari al reishay, because the shchina, the divine presence, rests upon his head. There's an old joke. I don't know if you guys ever heard this. Say, how do we know that Moshe Rabbeinu wore a yarmulke on his head? What else would he wear? Moshe Rabbeinu went to get the luchas from Hashem on the mountain. You think he came down the mountain without a yarmulke? What are you, nuts? That's the answer. Of course he wore one. Okay. That's a joke. It doesn't mean that you have to wear a yarmulke like this, but they had maybe they wore a talis all day and they covered their heads, right? With the robes and any kind of material that's between, you and Hashem, it shows that a God is above you. So it became a more modern approach that instead of having robes and it's difficult to move around, you just cut a piece of the robe off and make it into a little round cylinder that just sits on top of your head. Perfect solution to keep something above your head, right? Okay. So what does it mean that a man's eyes rest in his head? It says every wise man has his eyes, meaning his interests and his concerns. When you look at something, it goes into your brain and then you end up thinking about it. Also hearing, but seeing is believing. Hearing, you're not sure what you heard exactly. So when you see something, it's like that's a metaphor for everything that you ingest besides food. You look at it, you see it, you think about it, and that image remains with you for a long time. You could remember something in your mind and think of something in your mind that you saw and experienced 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, right? So every wise man has his eyes, meaning his interests and concerns, and also his speech. Because a lot of times you think with your mind and you envision the words of what you want to say. And where is that? In your head, meaning in the light of the Shekhinah that rests and abides above his head. V'chad einoi tamod. Linda, the hahu nahira the adlik al reishe itzrich lemishcha. When his eyes, meaning his interests and concerns, are there, he must know that this light kindled above his head, meaning the light that shines upon his soul, requires oil. So he's like fueling this fire, this Shekhinah, the light of God, above his head. But in order to do that, it needs oil. Begin to gufa dvar nash, ihu psila, or nahoira adlik le'ela. The body of a person is the wick that retains the luminous flame, and the light is kindled above it. Well, we still need the oil. We'll get to that in a second. Shlomo Malka Tzavach, Amar, King Solomon, Shlomo HaMelech, cried out saying, Shemen al reishcha al yechsar. Let there be no lack of oil above your head. itzrich lemishcha inun oivadan tavan v'adah hachacham einav bereishay. The light over a person's head requires oil, meaning good deeds. A person has to do a mitzvah in order to light that flame of godliness above his head. The good deeds that man performs is the oil which supplies the light which illuminate his soul. And for this reason, that's why it says that the wise man's eyes are in his head to ensure that he never lacks oil, that he's constantly doing mitzvahs. And the quote of the Zohar ends here. Now, we didn't answer the question yet. Why does the Beinoni struggle? And for that, you have to come back tomorrow. Got to leave a cliffhanger. Otherwise, David's not going to come back tomorrow. So oftentimes we feel like we're on a never-ending journey. Our temptations and urges never cease, regardless of how much we put effort into it. And we're davening every day. We're learning. We're trying to concentrate during the davening. How come it keeps coming back? That the Yitzhar is constantly bothering us. Leave me alone. Surely this could be demoralizing, but don't let it be. There's a purpose to the struggle, and we're going to discover that purpose in Mitzvah tomorrow morning. In the meantime, don't get deterred. There is an answer that the Rebbe gives, and he says this should help you. This should give you solace. He already hinted to it. Think about what we said in the Shema. Don't follow what your eyes and your heart tell you to do. And if we didn't have an urge, then we wouldn't be able to fulfill that commandment of not following what our eyes and our heart fulfill. So it should actually bring us great joy. But I don't want to give away the whole answer. So you'll have to come back tomorrow and find out more. Thanks for joining us in person and online. We'll see you tomorrow.